So transparency should be seen as an enabler in order to achieve other values that are aligned to the strategic objectives of our organization. So the two foremost values that we can obtain once we have raised awareness of how our organization works, so once we have achieved transparency, are efficiency, which is an internal value, and quality, which is an external value. Efficiency deals with increasing operational performance, with increasing the performance of a business process, whereas quality deals with increasing the quality of our products and services. And clearly, as we said, we can define KPIs to measure the achievement of each of these values. For example, for efficiency, we can measure the cycle time, the overall duration of a business process. But we can also measure the overall cost in order to avoid our business process to run into cost overruns. So essentially, efficiency can be translated according to these KPIs, cycle time and overall cost, into making our processes faster and cheaper. For quality, we can measure the number of defects, the degree of variation in our business process, as well as customer satisfaction. So we can measure the impact of our business processes on customer satisfaction, e.g. through customer feedback. So quality is about making business processes better. However, there is more than that. Another important value that we can achieve with BPM is compliance, meaning making our processes more predictable and compliant to the regulatory framework, as well as agility, which is an external value, making also known as flexibility, making our processes more responsive to changes in the business environment. And then we have integration, which is about improving the integration with internal staff, with the employees of the organization. And then an external one, networking, which is about improving the networking with customers as well as suppliers, partners, and more in general with external resources. Now we see that these values are organized in pairs. This is because the two values that belong to the same pair are oppositional in nature. For example, quality and efficiency relate to the well-established dichotomy in the strategic objectives of an organization, according to Michael Porter. In fact, if you tend to reduce costs of a business process, then you may have an impact on the quality of the outcomes of this business process. Likewise, vice versa, if you want to improve the quality of a business process, that typically will come at a cost. So efficiency will decrease along the cost dimension. And this is the same for the other pairs. So for example, compliance tends to make our processes more rigid, whereas agility is rightfully the opposite of it. And similarly, integration, internal integration versus networking with external resources. However, BPM acts as a mitigating factor between the two values that belong to the same pair. In fact, we will see techniques that will work on the improvement on one dimension without necessarily affecting or by minimizing the impact on the other dimension. We will mainly focus on quality and efficiency, but we will also see techniques for improving flexibility, agility, and compliance.